All right, AWheatThin. My name is Epi. I'll do your DPS Vod review that you posted in the Vod review channel. Real quickly, I just want to go over the things you said as a reminder of things that I need to look at here in this review. Of course, we're playing Mccree. This is about a 2019 average, so low gold, I think. No? Yeah. Yeah. Which is fine. You say that you don't use Mccree's kit effectively. I assume that's ability usage. You see yourself holding onto combat rolls and escape crutch. We can talk about that. You also feel like you panic aim and miss shots on easy and low HP targets. That happens. That happens. I'll be sure to double check on that. Give yourself time and be patient with yourself, right? Mechanics like that come with time. But what we can do to help is making sure our positioning is good, that our target selection is right, and then just more practice, more experience getting in those opportunities where we can actually finish fights like that. You say that the enemy team ran a good and coordinated dive, and you often found yourself not sticking with your healers as a bodyguard and going off on weird flanks. We'll see. I will peruse this VOD earlier. I didn't think you did anything really egregious, but we'll see how it goes here. And of course, this was a scrim game, and the enemy team varied in rank. That's fine. What we have to just make note of when we VOD review scrim games is that we're constantly affected by the fact that we're playing with a team. Right, like if we were in ranked, we probably wouldn't be talking about strategy. We probably wouldn't have a team comp. We probably wouldn't have a team strategy in that same way with positioning and rotations. So some of this won't be as applicable to comp as it is to scrims, right? Because you have to kind of play a little bit differently. But we'll see how we go. With that out of the way, let's actually get into the first fight positioning, and I like it a lot. You're playing Halt Hook, you're controlling space, right? And now you're getting aggressive, and I really do like this from you because it's important that with Mccree's nerfs, you play in his appropriate damage range. We'll kind of let this play. I like that you've seen this Mccree on the flank and a really good finish on him. Monkey in the back line. You're playing very well. Right, like they're going in, you're hitting them with the flashbang, you're clearing the off angles. This is exactly what you would want to see from your gameplay. And as a result, your team is winning and holding the first point very well. Okay, they've switched on to Junkrat. Again, really good flashbang usage and fan usage, right? You're finding targets that can come out of position, and then you just right-click them because they'll just die. Well played going from the front to back of team fights here. And again, if you just continue doing this, you're going to be very well set up for the rest of this map. I like this positioning. I like you trying to prevent them from getting in early. I will point out right now that we don't necessarily need to poke at anything that we can't kill because we have high noon, right? Poking at them is only going to give them ult charge, and of course they just switched on to some different healers, right? So if you give Monkey rally, his dive is really hard to counter. So when we already have ult, we don't need to shoot at all unless we can get kills. That's a small thing, but will help you in realizing when I have to hold space and when I can kind of give them freer space. Shooting shield is great though. Okay, so they've all rotated pretty effectively. And I saw this rotation when I reviewed earlier. and I'm still not thrilled about it. Right. So your team is committed here. I'll use blue here. Your team is committed to this space and preventing the enemies from leaving this space, which is actually really good, right? Like, dive doesn't want to be bottlenecked all up in here. And the reason blue team can get away with holding this space really effectively is because of all of the close range pressure you provide, right? Sorry, that's the wrong color. We have hog hook, we have halt to pull things either out or put them back in, right? We have Cree flashbang, we have Torb's turret, and turret is sitting there, and the right click effect, right? So Torbjorn has a lot of pressure early. We even have Ko, which can really, really mess up a team that's positioned tightly on top of one another. So we can actually really hold on to this space and not give any of it away. I say that because your rotation here makes it a 5v6, right? So I want you to watch, because I know why you're rotating. You have high noon, high ground. Of course. And that's not a bad idea at all. But if you're going to go play here, you need to do it before the fight, before the enemies have engaged over on this side, right? Because you've already given them up too much free space. This is really leaving your team hanging. So I want you to watch what happens when you leave the front line and what the enemy does to react to it. Right, Bose finds a hook. Halt hooks the monkey off the map, but Hog dies in return, right? So you've traded an engager for a denier of space. And only now can you actually make an impact on the fight, right? By the time you got up here, your Hog was already dead. Monkey was already off the map. And like we were saying earlier, this range is really long for Mccree. You're facing damage fall off anyway. Plus you already have ult. So it's recognizing these things that can be really strong, right? Imagine a world in where you did this rotation early, right? Your enemies rotated the same way they did. They held this space. And then they were going to dive in. They can't at all, right? And that's what your team needs to realize too. You have high noon on the high ground, and there's no real way to counter it other than this and Baptist. I guess Diva DM, but theoretically, Monkey dives in first, is so far out of position that DM can't help him. So it's these little things, right? You want to say that you're not using the kit effectively? No, I think you're doing fine. I think it's your positioning that betrayed that idea of going to the high ground for high noon. Because we're going to see in one fight, you position very preemptively. And the issue is then that they get all this free space and they actually take off angles and poke out your single shield until it's all chaos and they eventually win because they're dive. So that's just like a little thing. If you were on the front line, you could have stunned the Brig or stunned the Genji that was deflecting your whole hog, right? So it's these little things where we want to identify if we're trying to go in or if we can position more safely. You can also execute, you can do the best of both worlds too, right? If your team is holding this space and the enemy's in there, sorry, this is blue again. You can just put high noon right here, right on top of cart, right? A whole monkey can jump here, a diva can boost in, but this high noon has the protection of your Moira, of your Mercy, and can protect you on this spot, right? You've baited them into a kill box. So you don't have to go all the way to the high ground for high noon. You can just play a little bit deeper, a little bit safer. Because high noon on the front line, no value. So that's like a little thing that happened in this fight. that's really going to betray us in a second. And then we land really good shots. Again, if this were me, I would be playing right up against my Orisa, looking to do those flashbang plays, those plays that we've been making the whole time. Now we're going to choose to get aggressive. We've eliminated the D.Va. Now we're going to get the Brig, and it's a great cleanup. You end this fight very effectively. Now you're going to make this rotation really early, which is really smart on you. I can tell you're thinking. But again, the issue is that your enemy... Sorry, let's go super wide perspective on this. Let's pretend that you are the only thing on your team that can deal damage. At all. So you're looking at basically this much space of damage, right? This is the danger zone of our opponent. And they're playing dive, right? Our opponent gets to walk in here for free. That means they can set up an off angle. They can go into the same room that almost worked for them. They can speed onto our hog. And this is giving our opponent too much value. Just because we're positioned very passively. I can tell we're looking for high noon on the high ground. That's good. With this shield, you could just pop out here, high noon, long space. Sorry, this is really messy all of a sudden. And these guys either have to wait it out or push too aggressively and probably die for it. Right? So our kit, we have to recognize where we can use our abilities in different ways, right? We can use Flashbang, for example, to eliminate a Tracer with a one-shot headshot. We can use Flashbang to eliminate a Reaper with Flashbang right-click, right? Same idea. We can use High Noon. We can use High Noon to prevent enemies from taking this space. Sorry, I'm going to get rid of a little bit of this, right? We can use High Noon here to prevent enemies from taking any of this, right? Like, they literally have to play back here or over in the cubby room over here. Just because we used our ability here. So, in summary, you're allowing your enemies to set up staging locations, right? If Monkey sits here with D.Va, and their Genji goes over here, and their Baptiste plays with their Genji, and their Junkrat comes over here and pressures the Orisa shield, you're losing too much value because your opponents have already positioned so well that they're going to beat your shield and come in one way or the other. And we're about to watch that. Like, no kidding. No kidding. Watch this fight from above. So we already see Monkey staging the position. Genji, they dive in a little bit too aggressively, but look at how your team has to split its focus, and then that D.Va bomb comes in, doesn't find anything, thank goodness. We get our deflect, but see how much free real estate the opponent got out of this, right? Like, this is all of their free space. There's nothing that can punish them for being here. Because they got to stage here, and Orisa had to back up, which meant that our line of scrimmage is not so two-dimensional. Really, the safe spots for defense right now are like barely here. And you can see why this is a problem. You're going to lose this fight. Okay, I'm going to try to stop talking so much, so this isn't like a super long video. It's already 15 minutes long. But there's a lot to cover, just based on that high noon, based on our positioning. The team's going to end up struggling here. So at this point, I would be thinking about, what is my opponent trying to do? What are some of the ideas that they have, and how am I going to come back and re-engage and have success in this fight? And we almost did it. We find the DMAC. I like it. Really good shots. A really nice attempt at the flashbang. Keep looking for that a little bit earlier if you can find it, right? If it's there, use it. Good right click. Good roll. right click. And you're okay. I can tell what you mean by panic aim, right? And it's more like panic moving. Watch yourself move in this fight. You're jumping on your shots. Oh, well, that's really not helpful. You're jumping on your shots. You're struggling. You're splitting yourself up, and you're not playing natural cover. Right. Think about if you just played in here. Monkey can't go in. You have the help of a mini. Genji struggles to come in because you can just flashbang him. And your healers are safe, right? Johan had to peek out here so that he could heal you, but you were rotating behind again. I want you to start recognizing what positions are safe. Play your natural cover. Okay. And then watch how much you bob and move, and your movement is scaring your aim. You're like, oh my god, there's so much going on. I'm so scared. And we're okay. We're okay. We don't have to panic. Like, no cap, just tether yourself to this corner. Just tether yourself to it. I don't want you to go anywhere outside of this circle. Right? If you want to be here, you can shoot at the Ana. If you want to be here, you can protect point. Just tether yourself to a corner. You'll be okay. It'll provide you natural cover, and you're already significantly low HP. So your team struggles on this one. You're just going to skip forward 20 seconds, because we actually engage fairly well. Right, we stall out to 0-0. And it's not too bad at all.
Objective lost. Stop failure.
Let's start over at the beginning.
Looking back at some of your things you mentioned, you don't see yourself using Mccree's kit effectively. You see yourself holding on to combat roll. I've not seen you hold on to combat roll at all. Sorry, little thing. I would be going up high left right now. Right, go clear these guys out. These two should be scared of you, not the other way around. And I know you want to position with your team, but if you clear this out, your team can come to you. Go up high ground. Secure high ground. High ground, high ground, high ground. Higher noon. Right. Yeah. I see you going for it. Yes. And then you're like, oh, well, it's a little scary up there. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Because in the same vein... Okay, I promise this is the last time I'm going to do this. In the same vein, this time, remember when you positioned on the high ground and gave up the free space? Your team has done that for you. Your team is positioning so that all of this space is defense. And that's okay. But look at how much of this point you've just given to the offense. They can be anywhere within this pink and be totally safe, right? Monkey can stage here for free. Genji can poke from the high ground. And more importantly, the cart... Sorry, needs to be yellow. And more importantly, the cart is going to make it 3/4 of the way through point 2 before you guys can even contest it, right? This is a little bit of a team thing, but you've given up too much space as a team. And so as an individual, you can call, hey, we need to take high ground here. Hey, we need to go through castle and play out of the little second floor. Or, hey, we need to just go to cart, force that fight there. But we've positioned so passively that our enemies have gotten the ability to coordinate a dive, right? And that's what we were finding to be really painful. So again, personally, I would just go up here and try to duel their Genji and Monkey and try to convince my teammates to come with me and kind of help out with that because we're giving up too much space. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about positioning, but like, look at how safe the Monkey is. I've drawn these lines, and really, it is face-to-face. What are you guys going to do? The cart has just not stopped rolling. Oh, I can't move that. And then you lose 2 to a Diva Bomb, and this fight is really hard to win all of a sudden. And it's because that initial positioning was really bad for us. I like you going to the Gulch, though. Like, where you died, this is a good spot for you, because you survived Diva Bomb, you forced a duel, and even though you didn't win it, it was the right play.
It ain't my time.
I don't feel like you're abandoning your healers at all, right? Moira doesn't need your help, because she has Fade. And Mercy needs a fly too, but other than that should be okay. I like your timings of right clicks. If you're going to right click, you should use the whole mag though. Good shots, don't worry about it. And then yeah, it's really hard to beat Nanoblade when you're just one Mccree. Big res coming in. And you could no cap look at... Oh, this is scary. That one's really tough because you're walking into a Junkrat who's using Tire, which is going to activate before you can do anything to him. So, in my opinion, your best positioning was, again, playing that corner right over here, right? Peek out, play out, see if you can find the Ana on the bridge, but be safe and be careful. Because crossing through open space is going to be really dangerous for you here. I think we're going to find a lot of success here on point 3, just because of the geometry of the map and the way we've been kind of playing here. So High Noon, I like this. I like that a lot. Very good. Very good. Good. Now I like this. I like this. Look, 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 look. I know I said I wasn't going to do this again, but look, look, look. There's something about your team not realizing that this is your space as defenders. It's going to be tough because they're Junkrat spamming into you. But you need to hold maybe just this corner, right? Which is where your team's at. But right now you're so far out of position. Who's going to be able to help you? Nobody. If their monkey dives onto you and their Genji comes in, heck, they just throw a nade at you, you're down 1, and your team's going to struggle there. So I know you get out of this position, but your team is discoordinated right now with you. Are we trying to play aggressive, or are we trying to play very defensive, right? And you get away with this, I think, just for a little bit longer. And that's okay. Not to stress. But against higher level opponents, they're going to start scouting those early positions. Where you, I can tell that you're looking for like an early pick. And that's really good. But your team and your relative positioning to your team could use a little bit more work. That's all. Okay. I probably will not end up doing this whole thing because I feel bad making anybody watch a video that's longer than 20 minutes. I'm going to track your positioning on Mccree here through the last little bit. And then I'm going to have you guess what I'm going to want you to do. I've already told you what to do. It was a little bit earlier, maybe at the end of point 1. Okay, so we're going to come out here. We're going to cross. Then we're coming back. And then we're coming back. Uh-huh. Do you see a problem with that? I do. Okay, pause the video. Think if you can imagine what I'm about to say, because it's a concept of positioning And what I want you to do, have an idea. I'll give you time to pause it. I'll go in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I hope your answer was something about playing a corner or playing cover, right? The blue line is not playing cover at all, right? There's nothing out here. If it were me on Mccree, again, I would tether myself to this corner here. And even when I got to this section of blue, I would tether myself to this corner, right? And I would just play from here. I don't need to go out and get crazy, because what you see is going to happen when you play out here is that you're not safe. Nobody can help you. And the Junkrat mines are coming in. The monkey will dive to open space. A monkey is not going to dive onto a Mccree that is playing a pillar. It's going to be really hard for him to deal any damage. So as you play more Mccree, or really any DPS, I want you to start seeing more cover. More cover. Because cover's on every part of the map, everywhere. Natural cover. It'll help you avoid poke damage. It'll help you avoid Genji shurikens. It'll help you avoid getting dove and getting spotted out. But that was a good example of our space, or rather our positioning in open space, being really, really disastrous for us.
Got unfinished business.
One thing you can do to actually help you position on safe corners is to just relax. Get to the spot you want to be in, and then don't move anymore. Think of yourself as a bastion turret. Again, just last death, we crossed right through open space, and then we got hit by some spam damage, and it was easy shots for our opponent, and we died. Okay, let's see if we have any more to kind of go over in this one, because again, I don't really want you to spend a ton of time on this. Oh, yes, I have a small thing, not a small thing, I have a thing against your opponents here. Look at their team composition. It's double shield. Right? It's going to be really hard for Mccree to get value into 2 shields. And double hit scan, quite frankly. So, I would offer a character swap. Something like Hanzo. Man, that was the worst O ever. Something like Hanzo. A Tracer, a Genji, a Doomfist, right? Something mobile. A Soldier 76 would do just fine. And I would encourage a change in composition. Hanzo, because he can break double shield. Tracer Genji, because they can out mobility, out rotate, out position, and open up off angles on the shields. Or Soldier 76, because he just offers more double shield pressure than Mccree can. You're going to see yourself shooting a lot of shields if you go back through this VOD and just watch. Because that's really tough. That's all you can do. And this first fight is a great example of it. Now, I don't expect you to have switched on the first fight. You don't know what your opponent's on. So this is okay. But look at how our opponent has just positioned both shields right on top of each other. This is an impossibility for Mccree damage to break. Ever. It just won't happen. So, our counter as Mccree is to open up off angles. Is to rotate and try to poke at the sides. Right? And it's risky. It's dangerous, and you have to abandon your team to do some of that. And you're going to trade out, and it's mechanics based at that point. But going right through is never, ever going to happen. Because it's just too much HP for a Mccree to break. Now, a Hanzo, they can break it straight up. A Soldier, they can break it straight up. Most of the time. They can find a little bit of value through it. But you're gonna see your team try to take the open space one-on-one. See, we're looking to rotate into it. We're going to get ready, get set, and go. And we're trying to break shield. You haven't gotten a single shot in because there hasn't been a shot for you to hit. So it's going to be really hard for Mccree to get damage done against your opponent. And then again, a double shield team loves nothing more than a single angle to put both of its shields on. Because blue team can't do anything. They take no damage. All they can do is just sit in shield bot. And Bose feels like he has to sit here and wait until these shields break before he can go and do anything. But his shield is less than the shield of the opponent's, right? So imagine, for instance, you come back down here and you play this cart, right? You tether upon this cart and you poke out the Orisa, the Sigma, who then has to retract their shield from here and put it on your angle so that you get no value. But your team is open up, right? The whole goal is to get those shields to turn, to get those shields off of the same angle, okay? And that's really all I have to say about going into double shield. I will say right here that you don't have to drop. You don't have to fall when your Reinhardt does. Look at how much value if you just stay up here. Look at how much value if you just stay up here. Just watch, just watch, just watch. You apply pressure here to both of these. You might get a trade. Somebody still has to shield you, so Sigma shield is still going to go to you. Right? And all you have to do is just play this cover. Tether to this corner. And you'll be just fine. Instead, what happens is we drop. We struggle because we get poked out by their DPS on the high ground. And again, we're rotating through open space. We haven't found a real position to hold onto, a corner to take care of. And this goes well for a little while, but again, think if we were on the high ground right now, we're denying their soldier, their mercy, their Mccree, and we're getting a lot of value up there. And you died somewhere in the chaos.
Anyone want to join me?
Okay, so again, like I don't want to make you watch too much more of this. If you have more concerns, if you were like, well, there was something that happened in the 18th minute that I really needed to know about that you didn't quite cover, message me. I'll get back to you on it. I promise. But as it stands, this is already a 33-minute long video, and I don't want to overwhelm you with that. So, number one, we'll go over what you talked about. You don't use Mccree's kit effectively. That's not true. Your flash usage is really strong. Your fan is normally very well timed. I will say that you fan often without 6 bullets in the clip, which is really not worth it. But you fan shields, you fan targets that are available for you. So that's actually very strong. Your role is used as an escape. And that's okay, right? We can look into the ways to use roll as you get a little bit better and climb the ladder. But if roll is your escape for now, that's okay. If you're finding opportunities to use it to reload, that's good too. Really, I didn't see any issues with the core abilities of Mccree. I do think, though, that our high noon could use a little bit of work. And that's just the way that we hold space with it, right? Because when we think about high noon, the worst case scenario for anybody pressing Q on Mccree is dying to a deflected Genji. And that's a specific character matchup. So in most cases, the worst case scenario for using high noon is you reloaded your gun. Right, because when you use high noon, it automatically puts 6 bullets in your clip. So when you think about high noon in that sense, there's not a bad time to use high noon. there's an optimal time, right? In the best case, it's always a 6K play of the game, super pog, firework explosion. But in general, high noon is at worst a reload, and you can use it as such. Don't be afraid to press Q on Mccree just to reload, or just to find one target, or to deny open space to your opponent. High noon has a lot more utility than we're seeing it be used right now. Okay. You panic aim and crutch throughout. So what I'm going to say about that is your positioning is leading your body to panic about what needs to happen. Right? We saw it several times when I was like, just go find a corner, a spot with natural cover, play around it, try to maintain your HP, stop walking and shooting sometimes when you can, and you're going to see that your aim is just fine. Because your aim is really actually very good, but you walk into spaces that are unsafe and it makes you scared, and subconsciously your aim is worse because of it. So I want you to really position on corners, and I think that you'll see improvement there. The enemy team ran a coordinated dive, kind of, right? They did on their attack, but on their defense, they ran that double shield, and we just talked about how to beat double shield on Mccree. But their dive was only getting value because they were allowed to position, right? We talk about point 1 and 2 when we positioned so passively that Monkey and Diva just got the positioning they wanted, and their Junkrat set up on that off angle that they really liked and whatsoever. And then on point 2, when we gave up all of Castle, we gave up Mccree's best positioning on that part of the map. We will see more success if we take away our opponent's ability to set up safely, right? Dive wants to first set up nicely so they can all get to the same spot and then go in. So if we deny that first step, they never get to go in. And it's a lot easier said than done. You found yourself not sticking with your healers as a bodyguard. And again, weird flank angles is the right play against double shield. I know we didn't watch any double shield, but I think that they spent a lot of time double stacking those shields when you needed to go on the off angle, when you needed to go be a little bit weird about it so that your team could get more value because they weren't two shields in their faces. And again, you can always switch to Hanzo. Scrim game, don't matter. So that's what I'll say about your comments about yourself. I think that some of them are true, some of them are very false, and I think you're really strong in certain aspects that you find yourself weak in. So continue to validate your own gameplay because you're doing very well. Seriously. Okay, so point 1, your flashbangs, your fans, and your rolls are just fine for right now. Okay, don't worry about them. You're using those abilities when you need to, and oftentimes in the correct ways. Think about your high noons. Think about what you can do with high noon and limit test it. Go out and mess up some high noon plays, right? Try to make plays. Just get one pick with it, right? You don't need the whole 6K. If you get one with an ult, that's value. And then point 2 is just going to be tethering to corners. I'm just going to call it tethering here. And I hope you know what I mean. Natural cover. This second point is going to be really helpful. And again, fixing some of those things you say about your aim. It's also going to help you stay alive a little bit longer. And it's going to make you feel more comfortable and situated in almost any fight you take. If I haven't explained tethering enough in this video, please message me. I'll talk to you about it. I think I've kind of gone over it and beat it to death throughout this VOD. And I think you're going to get a lot of value out of it. Okay, AWheatThin. Thank you so much for submitting a VOD. I hope this helped you a lot. I'm sorry that it's a 40-minute long video. I hope you can get through it. I hope you can find some value in it. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, things I didn't cover, please message me. I'll answer you in my earliest convenience. Keep grinding, keep hustling. You're doing just fine in Overwatch. All right. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Peace out.